My brother scammed my grandma into funding his business and abandoned her at the hospital. I made sure he lost everything when I took over her power of attorney. If you love true stories that touch the heart, subscribe and drop a hi with your location. We'd love to know where our family is growing from. Now let's continue. The hospital called at 2:47 a.m. I remember because I was staring at my phone, watching the numbers glow in the darkness of my bedroom. My grandmother, the woman who raised me when my parents couldn't get their lives together, had collapsed in her bathroom. Alone. For 6 hours. "Miss Howard, your grandmother is stable, but we need family here immediately," the nurse said, her voice tight with something I couldn't identify yet. "There are some concerns we need to discuss." I threw on clothes and drove through empty streets, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Grandma Dorothy was 83, but she was strong. She gardened every morning, attended church 3 times a week, and made the best peach cobbler in 3 counties. This couldn't be happening. When I burst into her hospital room, she looked so small against the white sheets. Her usual copper-brown skin had an ashen quality that terrified me. But it was her eyes that broke my heart, clouded with confusion and something that looked like shame. "Baby girl," she whispered, reaching for my hand. I messed up. I messed up so bad. Before I could ask what she meant, a doctor pulled me into the hallway. Dr. Foster was a small Asian woman with kind eyes that currently held fury. "Your grandmother has been rationing her medication," she said bluntly. "Her diabetes is completely uncontrolled. She's malnourished. The utilities in her home have been shut off for 3 weeks. Miss Howard, where is your family?" That's when I learned the truth. My brother Jason had taken everything. I spent the next morning piecing together the nightmare. Grandma Dorothy's neighbor, Mrs. Mosley, no relation to the doctor, had found her. She'd noticed Grandma hadn't been outside in days, which was unusual for a woman who treated her garden like her children. "She wouldn't let me in at first," Mrs. Mosley told me, wringing her hands. "But I heard her fall. I had to break a window." Back in Grandma's hospital room, I held her hand while she slept, and my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My cousin Janelle, my Aunt Rebecca, even people from church, everyone asking the same question: "Where's Jason?" My brother. Golden child Jason. The one who could do no wrong in Grandma's eyes. The charming one who always had a scheme, always had a plan, always needed just a little help getting started. When Grandma woke up, I asked her gently, "Where's Jason been, Grandma? Why didn't he help you?" Her face crumpled. "He's been so busy with his business, baby. He's going to be so successful." I didn't want to bother him with my little problems. "What business?" My stomach was already sinking. "His restaurant. Well, it's going to be a restaurant. He just needed some startup capital." Her voice was so proud, so hopeful. "I helped him. That's what family does." I pulled out my laptop and logged into her bank account. She'd given me access years ago for emergencies. What I saw made my blood turn to ice. In the past 18 months, $127,000 had been withdrawn. Her entire retirement savings. Gone. The last transaction was dated 3 days before her collapse. I sat in that hospital room, scrolling through transaction after transaction, each one a knife to my heart. Jason hadn't just taken Grandma's savings, he'd been systematic about it. Small withdrawals at first, $2,000 here, $3,500 there. Then they got bigger. $10,000. $15,000. The final withdrawal, $32,000. "Grandma," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did Jason say when this restaurant was opening?" "Oh, any day now. He said he was just waiting on permits. He's been working so hard, baby. Sometimes he's too busy to even return my calls, but I understand. Building a business isn't easy." Too busy to return her calls while she was starving and sitting in the dark. I called Jason. It went straight to voicemail. The voicemail was full. I texted him, "Grandma's in the hospital. Get here now." Nothing. I tried his girlfriend's number. Disconnected. I even called his best friend, Owen. "Man, I haven't heard from Jason in like 4 months. Owen said. "He borrowed $5,000 from me for some investment opportunity, and ghosted me. If you find him, tell him I want my money back." My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. I called my mama, Grandma's daughter. I told Dorothy not to give him that money, Mama said, and I could hear her lighting a cigarette through the phone. But she never could say no to Jason. That boy's been running game since he could talk. Mama, she's in the hospital. She could have died. I know, baby. But what you want me to do? I got my own problems. I hung up. This was on me now. Dr. Foster discharged Grandma after 3 days, but only because I promised to move her into my apartment. I couldn't take her back to that house. The power company wanted $1,800 in back payments, and the place was a mess. Grandma, who'd always been proud and meticulous, had been living in squalor. While she rested in my guest room, I became a detective. I contacted every bank, checked every statement, made lists and timelines. Jason had been careful to make the withdrawals look legitimate. Grandma had signed everything. She trusted him completely. But here's what I found. There was no restaurant. No business license, no permits, no LLC registration, nothing. I called the address Jason had given Grandma for his location. It was a strip mall with a vacant unit that had been empty for 2 years. I hired a private investigator named James Wright, an older black man who'd retired from the police force. Cost me $1,500 I didn't really have, but I needed answers. Your brother's got a gambling problem, James told me 4 days later, sliding a folder across the table at a coffee shop. He's been living in Atlantic City for the past year. Stays at mid-tier hotels, hits the casinos every night. I've got photos, transaction records from casino ATMs. He's burned through your grandmother's money and probably a lot more. The photos showed Jason, my smooth-talking, always dressed nice brother, looking haggard and desperate, feeding money into slot machines at 3 a.m. There's more, James said. He owes money to some dangerous people. Street-level bookies. He's in deep. I thought about Grandma sitting in the dark, rationing her insulin, while Jason gambled away her life savings. I need to tell you something, baby girl, Grandma said one morning. She was sitting at my kitchen table, wearing one of my robes because I hadn't had time to get her clothes from her house yet. She looked so small, so fragile. I sat down across from her, coffee cup warming my hands. What is it, Grandma? Jason came to see me about 6 months ago. He said he needed more money, a lot more. Said he'd made some bad investments and just needed to cover them until the restaurant took off. She was crying now, silent tears running down her weathered cheeks. I told him I didn't have any more to give. That's when he got mean. My stomach clenched. Mean how? He said I was selfish. That after everything he'd done for me, I couldn't help him when he really needed it. He said. She paused, her hands trembling. He said I'd always loved you more than him. That I was willing to let him fail because I was bitter about his success. Grandma, that's manipulation. I know that now, baby. But in that moment I felt so guilty. So I took out a loan against the house. $40,000. The room spun. You did what? The house your grandfather left me. It's been paid off for 20 years, but the bank said I could borrow against it. Jason said he'd pay it back in 3 months. That was 6 months ago. I've missed 2 payments, Lillian. They're going to take my house. I stood up so fast my chair fell over. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My brother hadn't just stolen from her. He'd destroyed her entire life. I called a lawyer that afternoon. Sheila Washington was a sister from church and she agreed to see me immediately. Her office was small but organized and she listened to everything without interrupting. Lillian, I'm going to be straight with you, she said, leaning back in her chair. What Jason did is legal fraud and exploitation of an elderly person. But prosecuting will be hard. Your grandmother willingly gave him the money. She was manipulated. I believe you. But proving it in court? That's different. She tapped her pen against her desk. What we can do is get you power of attorney immediately. Your grandmother's clearly not able to make sound financial decisions right now. With POA, you can freeze her accounts, stop any further damage, and start the process of recovering what we can. How do we save her house? That's going to be tough. But if we can prove Jason committed fraud, we might be able to get the loan nullified. It's a long shot, but it's possible. We spent 3 hours filling out paperwork. Grandma came to the office the next day and signed everything. When Sheila explained what the power of attorney meant, Grandma just nodded. Do whatever you need to do, baby, she told me. I trust you. I should have trusted you from the beginning instead of. She didn't finish, but we both knew. Instead of Jason. With POA in hand, I became a woman on a mission. I froze every account. I contacted every creditor. I filed a police report for elder financial abuse. And then I did something that would change everything. I called every single person Jason had ever scammed. It started with Owen, Jason's former best friend. When I called him back and explained what I was doing, he was quiet for a long moment. I've got texts, he said finally, where Jason promised to invest my money in some crypto scheme. I've got bank records showing the transfers. And I know at least 3 other people he did the same thing to. Within a week, I had a list of 15 people. Jason had run the same con on all of them, promising investment opportunities, business partnerships, guaranteed returns. Amounts ranging from $2,000 to $25,000. Total, over $180,000, not including what he'd taken from Grandma. I created a spreadsheet. Documentation for everything. James, my PI, helped me track Jason's movements. He was still in Atlantic City, still gambling, now staying at progressively cheaper hotels. He's desperate, James told me. The people he owes money to are getting impatient. I heard through some connections that he's trying to leave the country. That lit a fire under me. I worked with Sheila to file civil suits on behalf of everyone Jason had scammed. We presented everything to the district attorney's office. They were initially dismissive. White-collar crime against individuals rarely gets priority, until I brought in Grandma. The 8A, a young white woman named Jennifer Mills, actually teared up listening to Grandma's story. My office will take this case, she said. But I need you to understand, even if we win, recovery is unlikely. The money's gone. I don't care about the money anymore, I said. I want him to face consequences. 3 weeks after I filed the police report, Jason called me. Not Grandma, me. I was at work trying to concentrate on a presentation when my phone lit up with his number. My hand hovered over the answer button. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but I needed to hear his voice. Needed to understand how he could do this. Lillian. His voice was rough, tired. We need to talk. You need to turn yourself in, I said, stepping into an empty conference room. The police are looking for you. The DA has filed charges. Charges? For what? Grandma gave me that money willingly. The audacity made my vision blur. You stole from her, Jason. You manipulated an 83-year-old woman into giving you her entire life savings and then abandoned her when she needed help. She could have died. That's not, look, it was an investment. Things didn't work out. That's not a crime. You told her you were opening a restaurant. There is no restaurant. You gambled away her money. Silence. Then, who told you that? You don't know what you're talking about. I hired a private investigator. I have photos of you at casinos, Jason. I have bank records. I have testimony from 15 other people you scammed. You're done. You always were jealous of me, he hissed. Always trying to be the favorite, the perfect one. Now you're trying to destroy me because you destroyed yourself. I was shouting now. I'm just making sure you face consequences. Grandma's house is in foreclosure because of you. Do you understand that? She's losing everything. I'll pay it back. I just need time. No. You're going to turn yourself in, or I'm going to make sure every single person you've ever known learns exactly what kind of person you are. He hung up. Jason didn't turn himself in. Instead, he showed up at my apartment 2 days later. I came home from visiting Grandma at a follow-up doctor's appointment to find him sitting on my building's front steps. He looked terrible. The brother I'd grown up with, always sharp, always put together, was gone. This Jason had hollow eyes, wrinkled clothes, and the desperate energy of a cornered animal. Get away from my building, I said, keeping my distance. My hand was already on my phone, ready to call 911. Lillian, please. Just listen to me. He stood up, hands raised like he was calming a wild animal. I messed up. I know I messed up. But you don't understand the pressure I was under. What pressure? The pressure of supporting yourself like an adult. I got in over my head with some bad people. If I don't pay them back, they're going to hurt me. Seriously hurt me. His voice cracked. I needed that money to survive. So you took it from an old woman who couldn't afford her medication? My voice was ice. You let her sit in the dark, Jason. You knew she was struggling and you ignored her calls. I was going to pay it back. I had a system. I was so close to hitting big. That's what gambling addicts always say. I was shaking now, years of anger and disappointment pouring out. You're not close to anything except prison. You exploited Grandma's love. You stole from your friends. And you have the nerve to stand here asking for my sympathy? You're my sister. And she's your grandmother. She raised us when Mama was too strung out to remember our names. She worked 2 jobs to keep us fed. And this is how you repay her. He started crying then, big gasping sobs. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. Please, Lillian. Don't do this. I'll make it right. But I was done. You had 100 chances to make it right. You chose not to. Now you face what's coming. I called the police. Jason ran. It took 4 months for everything to come together, but ADA Mills built a case that was airtight. Jason was eventually arrested trying to board a bus to Mexico. He looked like a stranger in his mugshot, defeated, hollow, nothing like the confident brother I'd known. The trial was brutal. Sitting in that courtroom listening to witness after witness describe how Jason had conned them, manipulated them, stolen from them, it was like watching a stranger's life unfold. This wasn't the brother who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd protected me from bullies in middle school. When Grandma took the stand, the courtroom went silent. She'd aged 10 years in 6 months. Her voice was soft but steady as she recounted every conversation, every promise Jason had made, every warning sign she'd ignored because she loved him. He was my grandson, she said, looking directly at Jason for the first time. I would have given him anything. But what he took wasn't just money. He took my dignity, my safety, my ability to trust. Her voice broke. He took the grandmother who used to feel joy. Now I just feel foolish. Jason's defense attorney tried to paint him as a victim of addiction, someone who needed help, not punishment. But the jury saw through it. They saw the pattern, the premeditation, the callousness. 15 counts of fraud. 1 count of elder abuse. 1 count of exploitation. Guilty on all counts. Jason got 8 years. It should have felt like victory. Dad, I just felt tired. The months after the trial were harder than the trial itself. We lost Grandma's house. There was no way to recover it. The bank foreclosed and everything she'd built with Grandpa was gone. I found her weeping over photo albums one afternoon, pictures of the garden she'd never see again. 50 years in that house, she whispered. Raised my babies there. Thought I'd die there. I held her while she cried, feeling like I'd failed her somehow. I'd gotten Jason convicted, but I couldn't give her back what mattered most. We recovered $18,000 from various accounts, pennies compared to what was stolen. I used it to pay off some of her medical bills. The rest of her creditors eventually wrote off her debts when I showed them her financials. She had nothing left to take. Grandma moved in with me permanently. Some days were good. She'd make breakfast, hum gospel songs, talk about starting a container garden on my balcony. Other days she'd just sit by the window, staring at nothing, trapped in memories of the grandson who'd destroyed her life. The worst part was watching her blame herself. I should have known better, she'd say. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You loved him. Same thing, isn't it? I visited Jason once in prison, 6 months into his sentence. I don't know why I went. Maybe I needed closure. Maybe I needed to see remorse. He looked smaller in prison orange. When he saw me through the glass partition, he actually smiled. That old Jason smile that used to charm everyone. Thanks for coming, sis. I'm not here for you, I said. I'm here to tell you what you took from her. I told him about the house, about Grandma's tears, about how she flinches now when anyone asks her for help. I told him everything. His smile faded. I never meant. I don't care what you meant. I care what you did. I never went back. 8 months after the trial, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Lillian Howard? A woman's voice, shaky and uncertain. Yes. My name is Denise Crawford. I was Jason's girlfriend. The one before he disappeared. My stomach dropped. What do you want? I just found out about everything. About what he did to your grandmother. I had no idea. I swear I didn't know. He was crying now. But I need to tell you something. Jason has a daughter. She's 4 years old. Her name is Amara. The world tilted. What? He never told any of the family. We weren't together anymore when I found out I was pregnant. I tried to reach him for child support, but he kept moving, kept hiding. Then I saw the news about the trial. Her voice broke completely. That little girl deserves to know her family, even if her father is what he is. I met Denise and Amara 2 weeks later at a park. The little girl was beautiful. She had Jason's smile but none of his shadows yet. She played on the swings while Denise and I talked. I don't want anything from you, Denise said. I just thought, your grandmother deserves to know she has a great-granddaughter. When I told Grandma, something shifted in her eyes. The deadness that had taken up residence there flickered with something else. Not quite hope, but maybe purpose. Can I meet her? Grandma asked. That first meeting, watching Grandma hold Amara, listening to the little girl's laughter fill my apartment. It was like watching someone come back to life. Not all the way, but enough. She's not him, Grandma whispered to me later. She's innocent. She deserves love. So did you, Grandma. I know, baby. I'm learning that. A year and a half after everything started, I'm sitting in my apartment watching Grandma teach Amara how to plant seeds in small pots. They come over every Sunday now, and slowly, tentatively, Grandma is building a relationship with a grandchild who doesn't know yet what her father did. Denise and I have become unlikely friends. She's a good mother, working 2 jobs to provide for Amara, dealing with her own betrayal from Jason. We don't talk about him much, but sometimes the weight of what he did to all of us hangs in the air between us. I think about Jason sometimes, locked away, hopefully getting the help he needs, but probably just counting days. I don't feel satisfaction about his imprisonment anymore. I don't feel vindicated. I mostly just feel sad. Sad for the brother he could have been, for the grandmother he destroyed, for the daughter who'll grow up knowing her father chose gambling over everyone who loved him. Last week, Grandma and I were sorting through old photos. She found one of Jason and me as kids, gap-toothed and laughing, our whole lives ahead of us. Where did we go wrong? She asked, touching his face in the photo. We didn't go wrong, Grandma. He made choices. Bad choices. That's on him, not you. I still love him, she admitted, and it broke my heart. God help me, I still love him. I just can't. I can't forgive what he did. Does that make me a bad person? No, Grandma. It makes you human. She nodded, but I could see the tears. This is the truth they don't tell you about betrayal. It doesn't end with justice. Justice doesn't heal the wounds. It doesn't give back what was stolen. It just draws a line and says, this far, no further. Grandma will never get her house back. She'll never feel completely safe giving or receiving love again. That light that used to shine from her, the joy, the openness, the belief in goodness, Jason didn't just dim it. He nearly extinguished it completely. I got her the power of attorney. I got Jason prosecuted. I protected what little was left. But I couldn't protect her heart. That's the piece I couldn't save, and it haunts me every single day. Some nights I lie awake wondering if I did the right thing. Should I have tried harder to help Jason instead of prosecute him? Could intervention have saved him, saved us all? But then I remember Grandma in that hospital bed, ashamed and starving. I remember the calculated way Jason withdrew money, the deliberate manipulation, the months he ignored her calls while she suffered. I remember that he had 1,000 chances to make different choices, and every single time he chose himself. The saddest part? Amara will grow up without a father. In a few years she'll ask questions, and we'll have to find age-appropriate ways to explain that her daddy hurt people, that love isn't enough to fix some things. We'll have to teach her the lesson we all learned too late, that you can love someone and still need to protect yourself from them. Grandma catches me watching her sometimes, sees the guilt in my eyes. Stop that, she says firmly. You saved my life, baby girl. You did what I was too weak to do. But she shouldn't have had to be strong. She shouldn't have had to choose between love and survival. Jason took that choice away from her, and in doing so he took away a piece of all of us. I look at Amara, innocent and laughing, planting seeds with Grandma. I see how Grandma's hands shake a little less when she holds her. How her smile reaches her eyes sometimes now. It's not healing, not really. It's just continuing. We're all just continuing, carrying the weight of what was done to us, trying to find moments of light in the aftermath. This is my story. Our story. It doesn't have a happy ending because real life rarely does. Jason destroyed something precious, something that can't be rebuilt. But we're still here. Grandma's still here. And maybe that's enough. Maybe survival after everything is its own kind of victory. But God, it's a bitter victory. And I'm so tired of being strong. If this story moved you, please share it. Someone in your life might need to hear that it's okay to set boundaries, even with family. Subscribe for more real stories about navigating toxic family dynamics. The truth is, betrayal from someone you love doesn't just hurt. It changes you. It teaches you that love can be weaponized, that trust can be fatal, that sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from. And maybe that's the real lesson, that protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. Even when it breaks your heart to do it.